how to control the flow of demand. And so before we talk about how to control it, I think it's important to take a little bit of a step back and just talk about how demand flow works. So the way that it works is that, and we'll use an easy example of toothpaste. So there was a time when nobody knew that they needed to use toothpaste, or nobody wanted to use toothpaste. And at some point, a company went out to all of these people that were unaware that there was a solution and educated them that if you use toothpaste, your teeth won't get yellow, or you won't get cavities, or you won't whatever those things are. And then there was demand created for toothpaste, and over time, more people did that. And so when we think about it, there's a group of buyers out there that would fit for it. And over time, they move into buying cycle. Once demand is created for them, they move into buying cycles where then they evaluate and consider purchasing something. Pretty simple concept. And so if there's no demand, and there's no demand being created for something like the toothpaste example, then nobody's going to move into a buying cycle. When we think about the things that create demand, that initiate the action, that educate someone, that then have them move into a buying cycle, if we look at B2B go-to-market strategies from 2011, the main ways that people would move through that process are conferences, analyst firms. A lot of it was the responsibility of the salesperson. The field salespeople, if you remember this, had to go out there and basically create demand out of nowhere, because marketing didn't have the capabilities to identify and target people in the way that they can now, and buyers didn't have the access to the information that they do now. And so that's what it looked like for demand creation in 2011. In 2021, we've been through this, but we know that demand creation is happening mainly through word of mouth, organic social, and content that just gets distributed over the internet that creates a spark where somebody then starts moving with demand created to consider whether or not they move into a buying cycle. Now, let's talk about how to control the demand flow, because this is what you want. This is the most advantageous position to be in as a company, where you have control over the demand flow. When you have control over the demand flow, you are basically evangelizing the category and are viewed as the category leader. And so there are two variables that matter here. Out of all of the people that are not in buying cycles, what percentage of those people see you as the preferred vendor or the leader? If it's 5% or if it's 95%, there are differences, because once they move into a buying cycle, the preferred vendor has a huge advantage from there on. The company who created the demand has a massive advantage in actually winning that business. The second one is controlling the magnitude of the flow of buyers from the pool into buying cycles. And if you're able to control both of those numbers, like imagine you're at 5% of the market sees you as the leader, and 100 buyers per month are moving into buying cycles. And then over time, you figure out how to make that 5%, 25% of buyers that are now moving into buying cycles see you as the preferred brand. And instead of 100 accounts moving into buying cycles per month, there's 200. So when you have those two variables to play with, it gives you a really interesting sense about how you could overall control the demand flow. I don't think that companies think about either of these metrics at all. I don't even think companies consider this concept at all. And so what happens for a company that isn't thinking about this is that they're just sitting at the bottom of the funnel, just trying to capture demand, fighting over the small amount of people that are actively buying, where the people that are moving into buying cycles do not see them as a preferred vendor, and they're going to lose a lot of those opportunities. And it becomes very expensive to do that over time, and you as a business have no control over your growth. Somebody else is creating the demand, and you are going to grow at a rate that's in line with the category or lower. If you're able to figure out how to create demand, you take control over that flow, which is the most advantageous position that I think that you could be in.